Hi everyone, welcome to Lectora Live. We are live here at the LUC 17, the Lectora User Conference. I'm Rick Zanoni, and I'm joined today by Darren Lucan, who is you're the programming manager of everything, right?
No, I'm in charge of the development of Lectora Desktop, Inspire, and Publisher.
Desktop. He really runs it, but
I like to believe so, right?
Yeah. John told me you run it, so that's okay. You guys have been busy. You're doing all sorts of good stuff. Today, we were talking a little bit earlier. John was showing the new timeline feature that's going to be coming out. I wish I didn't see it, but I heard people talking about it, saying it was cool. It was absolutely cool. Is that imminent, or is that like next version?
It's going to be the next version.
Cool.
And so what was interesting about it is we've been hearing timeline forever, right? Everybody wants it, but
Right.
I always say my analogy to that is it's like you're telling me to put a screen door on a submarine. We're not timeline based. Your pages don't leave at a certain time and things like that.
Right.
But we knew the challenges.
Yeah.
People have been asking for this, and so we went back and kind of looked at it and said, but with how Lectora works, how do we go in and make the parts of the timeline that work for you, bring those up, make them visual, make them obvious to you? And that's been our challenge, and it's been fun to do.
And it's interesting because it's really the area where Lectora could use a timeline, which is transitions, objects coming in and out. That's where timelines are good. I mean, beyond that, they don't do that much. But when you get into that side of it, it just makes life a little bit easier. And you're going to get people who hate it because they don't like timelines. Other people love timelines. I'm in the timeline camp. I like timelines. But most e-learning timelines haven't been the easiest to work with, and they tend to be non-visual, and you just have little. So it's like it's more like using Flash in most of it, which, if you're not a Flash programmer, is a little trickier. So what you guys did is a much more visual one. It kind of makes more sense to what everybody's doing.
We didn't want to dumb down the product. We didn't want to go down and make the pages start putting limits on things or starting to show this, because we're an event-based product.
Right.
And we think it's a strength. You can do, multiple medias on a page, and you can have things do it, and you're not limited. So that's our whole key, was to try to figure out how to make this more visual at the same time. Don't dumb down the power to
No, and a lot
limit.
of people don't realize that with Lectora you could build web pages. You can build a website with Lectora, which you can't really do easily with any other tools out there that aren't in a Flash model, or an HTML5 isn't totally worked in a lot of the tools. So you guys can build you've got anchor points, you've got everything you need to create websites. So you're already there. I mean, it's sort of interesting. We have one client that actually said, we're going to get off Lectora because we don't want any more Flash. And I went, Lectora's not Flash-based.
It's a funny misconception.
They was convinced Flash-based.
Right.
It isn't.
We were never Flash. The funny part, we were always HTML before HTML was cool.
Yep.
And it was...
Yeah.
People didn't get that, and you're like, when everybody's going, oh, now HTML, it's kind of like, how do you go in and sell that? We've always been here. But we've been slowly removing those things where we had hooks into Flash, because we don't want that. We want HTML5. We want it to work on the most modern browsers.
And then, unfortunately, most of the phones don't do Flash anymore. At least not. Everybody loves Angry Birds, and they go, "Yeah, we don't do Flash. We do Angry Birds." Angry Birds is Flash. Huh? And you get that look like, it can't be. My phone doesn't run Flash. Your phone runs Flash. It's called. It's embedded in a wrapper, and they go, "What does that mean? You're running Flash." And that always throws people off. But it can't, because my phone. Steve Jobs said you can't run Flash on iPhone.
Right.
Okay, that's true, but that doesn't mean anything, because he knew that everything else was written in Flash, and he allowed it. It's just that he didn't want to admit it. So it's sort of funny. But yeah, when I heard that, I go, but it's an HTML tool. No, it runs Flash. No, it runs Flash.
Yeah.
But so does everything else. It's an HTML tool. That's one of the nice things about it. But you guys, you're right. You guys started doing HTML pretty much, in the late 90s?
Yeah, and from the very get-go, it's always been HTML.
Yeah, and if you look at it, really, HTML didn't become popular until about 95. That's when people started getting websites.
Right.
Try getting one-name websites today. It's hard. Just doesn't happen that often. But back then, nobody had websites.
Right.
We didn't even have an email in those days. There were no emails.
Right.
But
Or
we had
a
one.
corporate one.
We had
Yeah.
Motorola was one of our clients in 1995, and they said, if you don't have a website, we don't do business with you. 2 days later, we had a website, and they didn't want much because there wasn't much you could do in those days with the web tools. But yeah, so you guys are right at the inception of when it all started happening. And what a lot of people don't realize, you guys are really a code generator.
Yeah.
You generate a lot of code, and if you actually look at the pages on the back end, you'll see the HTML and everything.
Right.
It's pretty cool, actually, because code generators are fun and they're hard to do. So it takes a lot of work to write a code generator. So what else is coming up new that is exciting, or you guys talked about?
So one of the things that's coming up that is, it's a big task for us that we're working on right now is we're looking to drive a lot of our products together to basically increase your functionality. And one of the first things we have to do to make that work is we're working on a new text engine.
Oh.
And we're going towards an HTML-based text engine. One, because it's going to be more WYSIWYG. Since we're publishing to HTML in every view, even if you're using it offline, we're still including an HTML browser. So by going through and making it an HTML text engine, it allows us to go in and show you more realistic what it is.
Okay.
It also allows us to go integrate more fully with LO. So you can use these as not a choice, but a compatible product. So you could go in and be hardcore. We've got a lot of the developers that use our tools, and they're in Inspire, and they've got all these great things. But they got SMEs across the country, or they've got someone else that's contracting with them. It gives you the ability, if we integrate those things more closely, to go in and share the content with somebody, have them update what they're doing, bring it back into LD, those kind of things. So we're looking at saying we have an ability to go and to link a lot of things that you can't do anywhere else. And that's what we're working towards, making it seamless. So it just works.
Now, for those who don't know, what's LD?
Oh, excuse me. I keep using my own acronyms. LD is a desktop version. I say that's our short term, because we have our online version and our desktop.
And that's LO, right?
So LO. Sorry if I'm using those. I just get so used to throwing those out.
Yeah, I know what it meant, but
no,
I'm not sure they know what it means.
I appreciate that.
And I wanted to make sure that's actually what you did call it. So,
Yeah.
It's good. And a lot of people may not know, but Lectora has two full different versions. They're not different. They're pretty close. They're almost exact. The online version, which is really good for Teams and everything else. And then you've got the desktop version, which was what we've been using for about 11 years now, which is on your desktop. You can still collaborate with people and do things. It's just a little bit different. You're not browser-based. But what's amazing about both the tools is whether you're on desktop or online, you almost can't tell the difference.
Right.
They're really, really, really close, and the speed is pretty good on both. I was shocked on the online that it actually was so smooth, and with desktop, you got all the functionality and power, so it's kind of neat. Now, and online can't do, at this moment, all the add-ons that you can add.
Right, and that's kind of, they both have their place, and that's why we're not going in and forcing you to make a choice. You can bring in the tools that make sense on your laptop and work with them, and still have the tools and the ability to go in and have very ease of use to have someone else who just needs to bring up a browser and have an ID.
And you can share between them. You can
and that's what's going to be even improved more greatly. They're greatly improved. So
are you finding a lot of users have both?
We haven't as much as we'd like to. Right now it seems to be kind of an import-export type of thing.
Okay.
And we'd really like to expand that so that it's just, customers, like I said, are not making a choice. Our users could go in and can start just expand what they're doing and find other people. We've done that with ReviewLink. You brought in more of the people who maybe don't need to develop the courses. And we're trying to do that with LO too, because there's different uses for different things. If you're doing a lot of intensive things and you want to do video work and that kind of stuff, you're going to want it on your desktop. And the speed and everything. Man, it's awfully nice to go be able to have somebody put in content that you don't have to install an application and, share that title out, let them put their content in and get it back.
And you're good. Yeah, and you're good. That's pretty neat. Yeah, ReviewLink's another product that's really coming on pretty strong. People are getting real interested in it. We got some clients I want to use it for, and I got to convince them that because we'll give you a spreadsheet. I don't want a spreadsheet. We'll give you more Word docs. No. And then you give us 40 Word docs. I want it aggregated. Otherwise, it takes us forever to figure out what they want fixed, changed, and then they complain we missed one. Well, there were 38 tabs in the Excel spreadsheet. It's easy to miss one. So that works with Lectora plus other tools like Storyline, like Captivate, which is nice. So you got a tool that does all of them. And we were talking to your ReviewLink person, and he said that it also is pretty much behind the firewall now, so you don't have the issue of firewalls. So that's another nice thing. You guys are busy. Your team is just cranking out all sorts of stuff. Yeah, every time I think, oh, Lectora's done, that's it. That's as far as it'll go. I mean, they've reached the limit of. You guys come out with all sorts of new fun stuff and,
Good.
and a lot of new features, which are pretty cool. And it is amazing what you can do generating HTML and everything else. It's actually pretty cool. So what kind of feedback are you getting on some of the new features with the latest versions?
I'm trying to.
There's a lot of new features.
Yeah, there's a lot of new features going through that right now. We've had a lot of dealt with more and more people that are using things like our responsive came in 16 to go in
Responsive
there.
is cool. Yeah.
Well, and I think people are starting to just catch on to that. They have to create mobile content, and I think for a long time, I remember coming to the user conference where people look at it and say, "But my people don't want to take stuff on the phone." Well, our views have changed.
Yeah.
We need our content delivered this way. And the ability, I think, changing the concept that we're not going to go and create something new for that. We just need to be able to give you our best guess at it, let you tweak it, to
Right.
show it, to make it work on your device, and just work anywhere. I know that was a big one, that and the auto start, because a lot of people, in order to, in the last release, with the seamless player, allowing us to go in and capture the click and the auto start media, especially on the mobile devices, is huge.
Right.
You can have an audio play at the beginning of it, or a video that when you go to that page.
Yeah, because mobile doesn't do everything. People go. I've seen instructional designers write stuff for mobile, and they'll say something like, "Press on the object to get a drop down." You can't do that.
Right.
Or hover over, and you can't hover. Things that you just can't do on a phone that they think you can. And they go, well, "Can't you do it on? It's not a desktop anymore.
Right.
We're not in Kansas anymore." Things change, and
Right.
and it is interesting because it's also training the designers to understand how to write now. Most of them don't. They don't really understand how to write for mobile versus, and they are quite different
Right.
in terms of functionality and everything else. Are you finding a lot of people doing responsive?
We're hearing more and more. It seems to be like I said, it always seems to take, you put it out there, and it takes a little while for it to get in and say,
Well, it's
oh,
kind of
I
a solution
get it.
in search of a problem.
Right. Well, you
that
could
people
kind of see
have,
it, but
yeah.
they didn't quite know how to use it or how. And then what happens is that we're finding is we see our developers, they're being asked, oh, but I need this to work here, and they're all of a
Yeah.
sudden going back. What was that thing you were talking to us about at the last user conference?
Yep.
What is this piece? And then how does that work again? And how's that going to solve this for me?
Right.
And they're starting to jump into it and going, okay, I like this. I like the fact I can go lay out my course on a PC. I can go in, they were just talking in one of the last sessions I was in, the F12 developer tools, and all of a sudden somebody said, you can go in and simulate any of the screen sizes you want, and you can see how the responsive will play that out. What things will be hidden, shown, text
Right.
sizes change.
Right. Well, I heard you were patenting that whole. You guys came out with a really clever, responsive system. It's very different from anybody else.
Right.
Most people just give you kind of like 3 tabs. Okay, throw your content here, here, and here, and they're all different devices. That's not your approach.
No.
It's very different, much more interactive, live, and it literally adapts to whatever your device you're on the fly.
Right.
That's clever. That's pretty clever.
And again, it was one of those challenges. We saw how, we wanted it to be functional, but at the same time, we don't want you to have to be a developer to figure out how to use it. We
Right.
don't want you to have to go in and put numbers in and slides. We wanted to basically say, just give me an idea of what it's going to look like if my phone's held this way. Show me what that is. Oh,
Yeah.
I get how it's going to be seen. Okay.
Yep. Yeah, phones are fun, and they're not for every kind of training. I always see people say, "I want to simulate my 27-inch monitor on the phone." Maybe that's not the best application for this. And that's the kind of thing. That's the educational part. How do you get people to understand what responsive is and where it works well? And we're getting there.
Yeah.
We had one. We actually didn't get this as a client, but it was a big medical company. And they gave us the RFP, and I think we were one of the runner-ups, but we didn't get it because we kind of said the emperor had no clothes. Because they said, well, we want all of our applications. And I'm looking at the screens. They're complete full 27-inch screens. And I said, look at your laptop, your phone. Look at that. How do you think that's going to fit here?
Right.
You'd have to do maybe little quadrants of something and scroll, but it's not going to be the real experience. They're not going to learn how to use the software when it's not even similar to what you're simulating. I go, what mobile apps do you have now? Apps? None. And you want to put that on? Didn't think of that. And we gave them a lot of questions, a lot of stuff to think about. I guess it was a lot of free consulting. When we were done, we didn't get it. Who knows who got it? Or they didn't do it. I'm not sure.
I think a lot of people start that way. They
Yeah.
think that mobile is just scaling something down, but
Yeah.
until you go look at what that means and how small the buttons are, stability, and you
And the
realize it
text,
isn't.
yeah.
Yeah,
So
the
you
text
have
just
10-point text or even lower on some of the apps, and now you put on a phone, you're at about 3-point text.
Right.
A little hard to read. And you're right, they learn eventually, but they're all jumping into the bandwagon of, oh, this is what we're supposed to be doing.
Right.
I also asked, what about security? Security? Yeah. Do you allow that stuff out of your, because this is your corporate data. Security? So
Deer in the headlights.
it
look.
really was. It was sort of sad. And I go, you hate doing that. And when we're doing it, we're saying, there's a good chance we may or may not get this because you're bringing up things that either scare them, make them look bad to their management because they didn't think about all this stuff, or they like the challenge. In this case, I think it scared them.
Right.
It's like they bought an RFP somewhere, you could tell, and they're just filling out everything they want, which is everything. So it's a checkoff kind of thing. Well, we need this, this, and this, and this. But then when you ask questions, what do you really need that? It's going to cost you a whole lot more to do this and that. It will? Yeah. I mean, even with Lectora, you get a 27-inch to a phone, that's pretty hard.
Yep.
It's not going to look good. So they grow. They really do grow. But it's fun. It's fun thinking about what you can do and how to do it well. Anything else going on that has you guys kind of excited about developing or thinking of developing?
Well, one of the other areas, we were talking about the authoring and review link, but one of the things we've really renewed a lot of focus in has been the course mill and the changes that we're doing in course mill. And
Some
again,
good stuff there.
and to integrate the whole products together.
Mm-hmm.
And we're also doing, and it ties into what we're doing with course mill and redesigning that. And back to our authoring products is we're really embracing the new CMI5. So
okay.
we've kind of felt like we got to Zappy early, and we've got and again,
and for those who don't know, CMI5 is like the new SCORM.
yeah,
pretty similar, right?
It's basically, so Zappy
Yeah.
is, if you think about it, it's the protocol, it's the pieces, it's a very simple set of rules that say you can send out data in a certain way anywhere, and everybody's like, oh, that's great. Well, how do I use it? CMI5 is a way to use it, and it's a way to use it to replace what you're doing. SCORM is basically saying all that stuff that lets you save off all your data and know where the user's at and save off his score and all those things. We're going to use this new Zappy to do it. Well, it's really nice because it's the flexibility of it. The standard is very easy to keep
Are
going.
they using XML for that or no?
It's the data format underneath the covers is just, it's really the key thing is the way that they configure the calls to go out. So it's very
Okay.
basic, that allows you, and really all it is it's and we allowed you previously before CMI5 arrives, you could go in and create Zappy statements, and you do that in a simple HTML.
Okay.
Publish, and what happens is it goes out and it just can go talk to any LRS you need to, that goes in and
Okay.
captures it, and you send this verb that says, I experienced this chapter, I have visited this, and those
Okay.
kind of things.
I like that, yeah.
Yeah, and they're very, very simple, and those are nice because you can gather data. You can know how long people are taking at certain pages, all those nice things that it's just so easy to add so that you could just build up and
So it
have.
takes like a simple data modeling kind of
Yeah.
approach, and it's very English based.
And what's John was talking about it today, and one of the things that we're looking to keep going with that we see is that's a great way for you to you put out a course, you understand where your learners are having problems, where they're struggling, what they're going through, what they're skipping.
Yeah.
You can get all this data so easily with this, and then you throw on the CMI5, which is just, again, SCORM using this new methodology that goes in and allows you to go, okay, I hook it in, I can download my course, I can do it, I can save off where I'm at, all the great parts you get from SCORM
Nice.
in a much better interface now.
That's nice.
And I think it's going to be where we're going to go.
Yeah, we had Nick Haven on a little bit earlier, and he was talking about there's a lot of new features on Netflix. He was telling us he got down and dirty into the SSD drives that are going on, and Amazon, and how fast. That was pretty cool.
Yeah.
He said we went from about 100 threads to over 1,000. That's a lot.
Yeah.
That's quite a bit. When you think of 1,000 threads coming in, writing into a database, that's pretty massive, actually. So that's nice. So there's all sorts of good stuff happening.
Yeah. keeping us busy.
You don't get vacations much, do you?
You know, the thing is, and it sounds corny, but we love what we do. We really love
I
it. That's what we
understand,
love coming here. We love doing this, and good group of people, and so
it's fun. It's a lot of fun. And you guys do a great job. It's always fun. I mean, we see you guys often enough at the shows and in the lab and the Lectoral Advisory Board, and it's just fun seeing where things are going and how it's going, and actually more fun is seeing it real.
yeah.
And we have all these. I'm on the Lectoral Advisory Board with a whole bunch of other really good people, and the fun thing is, we talk about stuff, and you look a year later or less, and that's actually there now. You don't see that. I've been on some other advisory boards. It doesn't happen. If you're lucky, they even listen to you. You guys listen. You guys pay attention, and it's fun. It's a good back and forth of what people like, what they don't like, and people aren't too shy to tell you what they don't like, and which is okay.
We get some great ideas, though. We get a lot of great input.
Yeah.
I cringed a little today when John was doing his presentation because he was up there, and I don't know who else does this, and I'm not an expert in that field, but he was up there with stuff that my team has been working on, R&D.
Yep.
It's not in any official build.
But it will
It's
be.
not been
But
through
it will
QA.
be.
Oh, yeah, it's our way to get there.
Yeah.
But to get the flow and the look and the things we were talking about earlier,
Yeah.
he was showing today stuff that hasn't been seen anywhere outside of an office in Deerfield.
Well,
And
he
just
hasn't
goes-
signed an NDA.
But I mean, it was interesting, so that's the kind of thing, and we like that. We like to put that out there and to let people have a feel and to understand it because, we want you to know we're listening to this, we're responsive, and we care what the problems our users have, and we want them to understand the things we're working on, the solutions, and get their feedback.
I know one thing we were talking a little bit about, and I'm not sure how it would integrate, but it'd be kind of interesting, is all the new virtual reality and augmented reality, and there's some really cool stuff happening out there, but it's sort of a one-of.
Yeah.
It's not a complete solution. It's let's talk about a certain subject and put it into a VR or an augmented reality world, but it's a portion of training.
Yeah.
And I was thinking, I wonder how we could integrate that into Lectora, do other things. I would imagine just basically calls to some sort of API, but there's some things that could be really interesting. That merger of the desktop or the mobile device with that augmented or virtual reality. I've seen some of the demos of what like the HoloLens can do with Microsoft and some of the other stuff. It's pretty amazing. It's actually fun, but it's not for everyone.
Right.
At least not yet. We're not at Star Trek level yet, but one day I'm sure.
But and I think that's what we've been seeing so much, things that we didn't think we were going to see a few years ago. I mean, like we said, the phones. We didn't anticipate how common people would be doing and need to use to take classes. Let's be honest. None of us saw driverless cars a couple of years ago, but it's become a commonplace.
And we may not see them much more. They keep crashing. So.
but looking at VR is like that too. We're not sure how that's going to be, but it's going to evolve because it's really kind of.
They're starting to use it more in like K through 12 education,
right?
Because some of the schools have funding and I think I mentioned this at a meeting. I've seen stuff where they're in a jungle or they're in a savanna and animals come up to the kids and they can touch them, they can talk to them. The animal explains who they are, what they are. That was pretty cool.
And it's so immersive and engaging.
Man, that is just absolutely really cool. And you're right. It's like being in a game or in another. It's more than a game because as you move, you see yourself, your hand moving, or it's pretty neat.
I mean, and it's not just this Star Trek in the future thing.
It's here.
I mean, it came with my phone. My last phone I have.
You have a Samsung?
VR? Yeah.
Yeah, I got to get. I was supposed to get a free one, but I think we missed the opportunity to go buy one. So what does it do actually with the phone? Is it the games?
So far they've had games. I've actually saw a movie trailer. It was kind of interesting. You could follow along and go down these steps and go into a basement and just, you're walking, you're feeling creepy. You're looking around, trying to see who's behind you. It's an interesting way.
That's the SA Plus.
Oh, I'm jealous now.
Just got it, and I'm using you can see it over there.
The S7 Edge, so mine looks like that.
And that's what she's got. She's got the S7 Edge, which is real close. And she just put this background on. It's called Material Black.
Yeah.
Because it's OLED, and if you don't know, OLED is organic LEDs. Black doesn't exist in an OLED. When you use a black color like this, it turns off that LED. So you get perfect black, and you get a perfect black, and it saves. So this screen is saving probably half the screen resolution or battery. that it would consume. I was on this phone a lot yesterday, throughout the whole day, and we were watching some of what we were doing. And at about 10 at night, I had 51% still. I was shocked. That was a long day of using a phone with multimedia.
Well, I'm trying to come up with a good reason why I can go to that next one because it looks like fun.
Oh, I didn't have any good
You didn't have
reason.
a reason?
Well,
Did
I had a Note 7, so that was one of my
Okay,
reasons.
well,
But I
that's a
wasn't
good
allowed to
reason.
keep it because it exploded, supposedly. At least mine didn't, but I had to turn it back in. But I bought a Moto Z Force afterwards. It was a piece of junk compared to the Samsung. So I immediately got out when this came out, and I love it. It's just incredible. But also, the blacks are so black.
Yeah.
I've never had a phone that looks so sharp. And it's funny, Apple just bought 85 million OLEDs from Samsung, their competitor. It's just hilarious. So you know what's coming out in the new iPhone.
Yep.
They sue each other all the time. Then they
Oh,
work
yeah.
together. I don't get it. They're a little insane. But no, there's some really fun tech coming. OLED monitors are about to come. They're out already. So you can get like a 27-inch OLED monitor, but they cost $5,000-6,000.
Yeah, so not
Right
so
now.
sure we're going to be getting that in the
No,
office anytime soon.
But when they come out, boy, you're gonna have the blackest blacks on that.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, it's gonna look so good. Have you seen the OLED TVs?
I've seen them. I don't have
my-
one.
We
Beautiful.
almost bought one, and then Best Buy sort of was scamming it. She found an ad saying that you could buy an OLED TV the year before the previous model, which is only like 8 months old, for $2,900. I went, wow, that was a $10,000 TV a year
Right.
before that. And we said, well, that's cheaper than the $5,000 brand new one, except it didn't exist.
Really?
They told us 4 times it was back ordered, and finally we canceled. There was no TV there anywhere. They kept telling us it's coming on a boat. Really? Where? It's not coming anywhere. But it was a way to get you to go back to the store and buy one. I don't want to spend that much on a TV.
No.
I don't watch that much TV.
And like everything else, it'll just be cheaper next year.
I'll wait a year or two and then everybody will have it. And it's fine. There's some things I'm bleeding edge about, but not TVs. It's just like, it's okay.
Right.
I have a 4K TV, but it's in 4K, not much. It's just saying, I have it. What do you do with it? Nothing. But we have it. Anyway. Well, Darren, as always, it's a pleasure talking to you, and I love the work you guys are doing. It's always fun watching. You got a great team there. I'm only sad that all the developers didn't come out this time like they did in Florida because
Yeah.
they were so close. It's always fun meeting all the guys there, and then I get to beat up on Renee. I like beating up on Renee. Hey, UI guy, try making this so we can read it sometime. He's like, oh, come on, it's not that bad. Actually, it isn't that bad, but I could give him a hard time. It's fun.
Yeah.
But
I wish
anyway-
we could add our developers out too, because and Renee and all the people, because I think we get so much out of sitting there and seeing the things, like I said, today's
You guys
rollout
had
to
like
see.
20, 30 guys last time. They were all just taking notes and learning.
And you know what? It's so, you look at this and all of a sudden you go, okay, I get it. I get what you like, I don't like, and we get so much out of that.
Yeah.
That, you know, the more people we have here, we love that.
And it's interesting what some people like and don't like.
Yeah,
It probably
and that's
surprises
okay.
you sometimes. Yeah. I was talking to Carl Kopp. He was a professor who did the keynote yesterday. And he had a whole mess of points. And basically, the audience was determining where the keynote was going.
Right.
Which is pretty clever. But one thing he did was he said, well, who wants to go one place? And one person said action. Nobody had any interest in action. So they didn't go to action. One person, there was too many people to go for one person. But that was interesting because you're dealing with the different kinds of technology out there, the different subjects, and it's just modifying. And you're doing the same with the product. In essence, what do people want? What don't they want? What's a trend? Is that trend going anywhere? Because some trends don't go anywhere. But some are going somewhere. And it's a lot of fun. Do you guys on the website have samples of what people have done with responsive yet?
I think that on the community.
They do have it on the community.
On the
You're
community,
right.
that would be a check into there. And I know they've played a lot of. They've asked for people to do things in some of the games or the things that they've, the contests and things, different ones
Yeah.
like that. You're right. I think that's one of those areas. The more and more people get that and understand it, see what it can do for them.
It's then all of a sudden they blow
Yeah.
the creative juices. I have one last question for you. Gamification or elements of game design. A lot of people think Lectora really isn't a gaming platform, and not a true gaming platform. It's not like a Call of Duty type thing. But what is Lectora doing now in terms of gamification?
Well, and actually we're doing a lot of it in Course Mill to go in and to enable the gamification. But in Lectora, we've always been kind of if you really want to dig into it, we've always had a lot of the ability under the covers. But a lot of it is sometimes people aren't that much of a developer because we'll give you the tools to do whatever you want.
Right.
So we've been doing a lot of the different the games that we have. We have Flash games now. One of the things we're looking to do is make those HTML5 based. So that's on our roadmap to improve
Are those
that.
the Swift games?
Yeah, they're currently, and we, and that was great. But now it's time to go in and to make them responsive and to make those, those kind of things. So that's on our roadmap of things that we want to do because we know people like. We don't want to lock you into doing things a certain way, but they're great starters and they're great little add-ons to do that. So that's something we've got a roadmap, and
that'll be great. That's fun. Well, Darren, again, absolute pleasure seeing you again, and again, we are at the Lectora User Conference 2017, beautiful Hyatt Regency in Cincinnati. It's actually quite lovely out here. And people are starting to come out of sessions, and so we'll probably see you guys in a couple of minutes again. Have a good one, everyone. Bye-bye. We're good?
All right. Well, all right.
So you're good. You just improvise, go right with it.
Yeah.